every leader has a vision. Every leader in a business has a vision for their business. But not every leader that runs a business has a vision for their home. And this is what scares me. Well, what is up, my dear friends, and welcome back to another episode of Honey, I'm Home, a podcast brought to you by One Team Media. And today we are talking to those leaders out there who are struggling within their homes, teaching them how they can begin to show up with more love in their mind, body, and heart so that they can achieve happiness within their own home. So if you're ready for life transformation to take place, I'm going to give you 3 ideas that's going to help you to tap into your heart, let go of the hurt, so that you can come from a place of love rather than hurt. And I think that's super important to think about as a man, is how you show up. You know, showing up is part of our responsibility. To serve is part of our responsibility. To make sure that our home is taken care of, that it's foundationally not broken. And it can be really hard for us to walk into our homes after a long days of work, a long day of execution, dealing with people, stresses and headaches, you know, and we end up going home to a home that might end up breaking us more than helping us to step into our own masculine role as an individual, right? So today we're going to talk about those 3 different ideas that have helped me significantly step into a more masculine, loving man for my wife, and how you can do the same thing. Because to be honest with you, it's not fun to live from your hurt, from walking into your home with a feeling of depleted. You're feeling hopeless. You're feeling lost. You're feeling exhausted. You're feeling angry. You're quick to anger. You know, I think the Bible talks about how we should be slow to anger. And if you don't understand that there's just some foundational things that you can do that's rather simple. Like, I don't like to try to make things more complicated than they need to be, because relationships are complicated enough. And Honey, I'm Home is really helping the leader to lead a better home so that we can overcome the craziness of divorces. You know, we live in a world, in a society that says, you know, you shouldn't change for anybody. I disagree with that. I think love is worth changing for. I think people are worth changing for. And partially the reason why many relationships fail is because we come from, you know, a very, very core identity crisis in America that says individualism is a core value of our own. That we, myself, is more important than we. Me is always more important than we. And this is why relationships in America don't work very well. If you look up, because I did this last week, I looked up the core values of the United States of America. And what I found, I think I still have it up here, and if I don't, I do. No, I do. The first value in America is individualism. This blew my mind, because it says the most important thing to understand about you, United States Americans, is probably their devotion to individualism. They have been trained from early in their lives to consider themselves separate individuals who are responsible for their own situations in life and their own destinies. They have not been trained to see themselves as members of a close-knit, tightly interdependent family, religious group, tribe, nation, or other group. That's one. Equality is another. Informality is another, and so on and so forth. But let's focus on individualism. The reason your home suffers is because you are focusing on you. We don't get into a relationship to take, we get in a relationship to give. The moment that we stop giving is the very moment that that relationship begins to crumble and fall. Now, depending on how long you were together with the person inside your home will dictate how quickly it might fall and decay. But I promise you, if you continue to focus on self and individualism, your home, your kingdom, your castle will fall. And we've got to, as men, as leaders, stand up and do the right thing. And one of my biggest successes in life is not how much money I have in my bank account, my friends. It's really the amount of fulfillment and happiness I experience in my marriage. Like, I want to go home and cultivate happiness, laughter, joy, love, excitement, connection. I try to do that every single day. I pride myself on waking up beside the woman that chose me to be her man. Like I get chills thinking about it. I know that I kind of want people to one day come into my home to see how I treat my wife. I had not too long ago, we had a doctor come into our house because my wife is terrible at drawing blood, and she had to draw some blood for some tests. And so I know she doesn't feel comfortable at the doctor's office, right? And so we decided to hire an in-house doctor to come in and extract blood from her, right? And so the doctor said something that I wasn't even realizing. And it was, I pat myself on the back because this is what you should pride yourself on as a man, is the doctor looked at us and looked at my wife and said, "You have a very special husband because the amount of love and care he has for you." Now, what did I do? What did that look like from the doctor's perspective? Well, I made sure that my wife had a cold glass of ice water. I made sure that she had a cold towel over her head. Made sure that she didn't use a couch pillow, even though I find them comfortable. I made sure that she had her own sleeping pillow that she finds comfortable. I made sure that she had headphones in to drown out what was actually going on with her favorite music. And I made sure that I just held her hand. Now, realistically, you'd think that she's dying, but she's just given maybe 3 or 4 pints of blood. But my wife doesn't deal with that very easily. And just being the man that I know I want to be, with my focus on my quality of life directly depends on the quality of my relationship with my wife. I without question, that's just an act of love. That's an act of making sure that I'm living from my heart rather than my hurt. Making sure that the person that shows up for me, I'm showing up for her. So I pride myself with the woman that I wake up to next to every single day. The goal should never be individualism. Strip that away. You can be individualistic in the morning, but as soon as your wife wakes up or your partner wakes up, it's no longer a me mentality, it's a we mentality. And that's what we've got to change. We got to stop thinking that we're the most important part of this relationship. It's not about that. We got to get it through our hearts and our minds that what's most important is the person who chose us. They're the gift, not me. I'm definitely not the gift. She helps me to become the version of myself that I believe I'm supposed to be and that God created me to be. And so let's talk a little bit about how I've been able to step into my heart rather than my frustrations. When I say hurt, I'm not specifically, let me just make sure this is clear. I'm not specifically talking about, I feel hurt in an emotional way. I'm just saying, like, if you feel stressed, if you feel reactive, if you feel, anything besides happy and excited to go walk into your house, like we have about, 22 stairs to get into our current home, right? Prior to getting, and kid you not, I don't know why, but I always just kind of like lightly jog up those stairs because I'm excited to be home and be greeted by my wife. We have such a good thing going that it's like when I'm home, I get greeted by our dog, and then I go over to my wife and give her a big kiss and just like love her. Just allow myself to drop everything and just be like, this is the reason why I do what I do. And like, if I don't show up with happiness, with joy, with laughter, with goofiness into my home, then what am I doing? Like, I'm there to serve her as much as she's there to serve me. And let me tell you, when you're serving someone and you're doing some of these things that I'm about to talk to you about, you'll never feel empty. You won't have to rely on her to make you feel good. And that's a good place because I got me figured out. I've realized that she's not supposed to supply me with everything. Everything that I believe that she's supposed to supply me with, this is my personal belief. But the more that I rely on her, the less I rely on God. Do you hear me? The more I relied on her, the less I rely on God. But I understand that the human flesh cannot fulfill the deep desire of the soul. So realistically, I know my wife's not enough. So I look elsewhere to be fulfilled. I don't make sure that she's like, if she's not making me happy, it's not her responsibility. It's my responsibility. She just adds to it, right? And like, so I always make sure that when I step into my heart, I make sure I wake up an hour every single morning before my wife does. She's up at 6:30, I'm up at 5:30. Now, that's Monday through Friday. Saturdays and Sundays, it's a little bit different, right? I try to enjoy my weekends in bed with my wife because that's more important to me. spending an extra 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes in bed just to cuddle her and hold her and just, be loving. And so, but Monday through Friday, I live with a very strict schedule and belief, and I'm asking you to do the same thing. If you're a leader in your home and you're struggling to lead your home, it's because you're struggling to lead yourself and you're not making enough time for yourself. Get it through your head that it's not about you, it's about them. But you have to take care of you in order to take care of them. And when's the best time? Is right in the morning, when you can brew your cup of coffee, maybe make a cup of tea, depending on who you are and what you enjoy. Sit down and just open up your notebook. My notebook's right here in front of me if you're watching this. And I write about who I want to be. Every leader has a vision. Every leader in a business has a vision for their business. But not every leader that runs a business has a vision for their home. And this is what scares me. Because the quality of your home will equal the quality of your relational life as well as your overall quality of life. And just because you can lead elsewhere doesn't mean that you're doing a good job leading in home. So every morning I wake up and I define who I want to be in this very day, who I want to be today for my wife. And sometimes it's the exact same person who I was yesterday. Because dang, I made myself proud. And I like how I show up. I understand what kind of energy I bring to the table. There's no man that's going to ever replace me because of the type of energy I bring into my home. So no matter the message, no matter the comment, no matter what temptations might come her way because she's a beautiful woman, here's what I know is no man will outwork me or outshow me by how I show up every single day. And I need you to do the same thing. I need you to be that confident within yourself and that confident within your energy and that confident within your mindset. And so here's what I do. Every single morning I spend 1 hour with myself, priming myself to make sure that I am right with myself and with God. So what does that look like? Well, the first thing I do is I take care of my mind, then I take care of my body, and then I take care of my soul, and then I take care of my emotions. I just check them real quick, right? Mind. Positive mental attitude. What do I have to do to create a positive mental attitude so that I am living in the right headspace to take on the problems of the day in the world? Because I'm telling you, if you look for problems, you will find problems, and there are problems everywhere. And it's not like I don't face those problems, because I do. I've just learned how to navigate those problems because I'm trying to feed myself with goodness, with good music, right? Good gospel music in my world. I love that. I love spiritual hymns of just like, meditation, background music, putting me in a deep forest in somewhere in the Amazon, just listening to the life of the world, right? It's a beautiful just soundtrack that I listen to. Also, I listen to some strong podcasts, not motivation. I don't really need motivation, but motivation sometimes is good for me. But what I like is more things that are practical and, strategic in where I'm headed. So right now I'm listening to a marketing podcast that's helping me market this podcast, other podcasts that I'm a part of, a company that I'm a part of, One Team Media, all of the things. I've got to make sure that I'm improving the skill set, because if you're not improving in a skill, you're slowly depleting from yourself. If you're not growing, you're dying. I know people have heard that, but it is absolutely true. So think about that. So once I take care of my mind by feeding it some good positive scripture, some good positive book. Right now I'm reading a book called Change Your World. It's co-authored by somebody and John Maxwell. Powerful book. Highly recommend you read it if you feel like you want to make a change in this lifetime of yours. I listen to podcasts and I listen to music just to prime myself just a little bit, right? I don't have to rely on them, but it helps me just to get in a good mood. Listen, you can never be miserable and dancing at the same time, okay? Get up and groove. Be thankful that God gave you the body to move today because someone did not wake up with that same opportunity. And this is the mindset that I have myself in, because I have a war that's going on within myself every single day because I'm trying to drown out the craziness of the world, which we all know is absolutely crazy. So taking care of myself an hour, I don't know what that looks like for you. I'm just informing you what I've done. This helped me to capitalize, to come from a place of my heart rather than a place of reactiveness, stress, overwhelm, frustration, hurt, or holding on to last night's conversation that might have not been very good, right? It's like, let's do a reset, mental reset. Let's do a physical reset, right? Sometimes I get a workout in. Sometimes I get a walk in. Sometimes I just stretch. Sometimes I just sit there and just enjoy and love on my body and just thank you for my body. I don't really move it, but they say you should work out. I can't say that I always do that because I really don't. But I will say that I always take time to appreciate and love on my vessel and my body. Because if I can love my body, I can love myself, I can love my wife, and it works well together. The next thing I really take care of is my soul. How do I take care of my soul? My soul is created by God. What does that look like for me? Well, I don't know what it looks like for you or what you want to do. Sometimes it could be, I listen to a song called Gratitude. I think it's by some guy by the name of Brendan or Brandon. And I literally speak prayer for the entirety of that song. Just pray. Say whatever comes to my heart and mind. Just God. Talk to him. Make a friend with him. Talk about that in my book, The Big Three. In The Big Three, my last section of my book is how to build a relationship with God. How do you build a relationship with something that you cannot see, that you cannot hear, that you've never really used a sense, you're out of your five senses to connect with? Well, I just think that I'm on a phone call with them. The person on the other side of the phone doesn't need to say anything for me to know that they're there. You feel me? You understand where I'm coming from? God is there on the other side of the phone. He might not be speaking, but I know he's listening. So to get my soul right, I pray. To get my soul right, I read the Bible. To get my soul right, I write a note to God every morning in my morning journal. That's been something that's been profound for me, so I highly recommend it for you too. And then finally, I get my emotions right, my emotional set. How do I not become so reactive and so hurt by the things that people say? You go into my social media, and I promise you'll find a comment per video that can easily, if I wasn't built up as a strong man, it could easily break the weak man. Okay? When you're impacting millions of people per month, you're going to have some comments that slip through that could really destroy you if you're not strong enough. So I meditate. That's what I do. I just sit in silence. I breathe, and I sit in appreciation. Tune into my body and release the energy that's stopping me from getting to where I want to go. So that's my hour, right? Take care of my mind, my body, my soul, and my emotions. After that, how do you get in touch with your heart? Well, I've always heard that you cannot be angry and grateful simultaneously. If that's true for you too, then I ask you to practice gratitude before you walk into your home. If you're feeling depleted from the day, you feel overwhelmed, you feel stressful, you feel worried, you feel anxious, you feel, just not like someone that somebody else can rely on, I need you to really feel your gratitude. And some of the things that I've done is I've actually purchased a stethoscope to connect with my heart. Stethoscope is what the doctors listen to, right, to hear your heartbeat. If you've never meditated on your heartbeat or just bought a $20 stethoscope to listen to your heart, I'm telling you, the connection that you'll feel with God, and that the fact that that heart has not stopped beating for the past 27 years of my life, it just blows my mind. And when you connect to the essence of your heartbeat and the vitality and the actual aliveness to who you are, and you tune into that, I'm telling you, your perspective and appreciation of life will completely change. Use a stethoscope to tune in, or just put your hands over your heart. If you're watching this on YouTube, put your hands over your heart and just allow yourself, and don't tune out of it until you can finally feel your heartbeat. And then when you practice gratitude, I'm not saying use a gratitude journal because I couldn't do it, and actually feel gratitude. The purpose of gratitude is this, to actually feel it. So think of something that you can be genuinely grateful for, and don't move on to something else until you actually feel the thing that you said that you're grateful for. Because you cannot be angry and grateful simultaneously. A leader comes from their heart. They don't act from anger. So work on yourself. Practice gratitude before you walk into your house. If you know that you're not right, pray maybe. Take a quick 10 minutes to go through your mind, body, soul, and emotions. And then once you are in your home, your only mission the rest of the evening, as long as they allow you, because that's what they want, is connection. That's it. That's your only mission. That's your only direction. That's your only focus for the rest of the evening, is asking yourself the question, how can I connect greater to this person to strengthen our love, our life, our conversations, and our relationship together? Because being with my wife for, almost 7 years now, a little over 7, with that, you feel like you could get bored at times. But my specific strength in our relationship is make sure that our house is never boring or bored. We're always the entertainers. And I make sure I entertain my wife on a daily basis, whether I'm playing good music, watching a funny show, connecting with her in some way, shape, or form, always kissing her, always holding her, always tickling her, always making sure that I'm connecting with her, talking to her, asking more empowered questions that she and I can talk about, talking about her future, what she wants, where we're headed, what we want to build, what we want to be about, who are the Strattons, These are some fun conversations to have with your significant other. Like, who are the Strattons and what do they stand for? When we pass away, what will people say about us, honey? What do you want people to say about you? God gifted you with this life. Have you been thinking about how beautiful this life is? You know, we have to get more creative. We have to engage more energy. We have to have more excitement in our relationships, in our homes, if we want to lead our homes with the proper mind and with the proper foundation that's going to help us to overcome those difficult times. Because as you know, if you talk to any married individual or any married man, they're going to tell you that marriage is hard. Well, yeah, it only is hard as hard as you lack showing up. The only reason it's hard is because you're not showing up for yourself or for them. So I ask you, when will you begin to show up for you so that you can show up for them and get your home right? I promise you, if you get your home right, you'll find the willingness to win, even in a career that you don't want to be in, even in a time you don't want to face. Because I know that I would give my entire life for my wife. And I also know there's a lot of men that wouldn't do the same, because it's all about individualism. But if you want to step away from the individualism in your home, then you need to learn to connect to your heart. Like I said, I gave you 3 ideas. You got to take care of yourself in the first hour that you wake up. That's your mind, body, soul, and emotions. Secondly, practice gratitude, because you can't be grateful and angry at the same time. Make sure that you're primed to walk into your home with love in your heart. And last but not least is to understand that your only mission as a man is to make her feel secure by connecting to her, talking to her, appreciating her, and valuing her.